Hi, how's everyone doing today? So the main issue with using server grade hardware in your home is how loud it is, and what makes it loud is the fans. So in today's video I want to show you how you can control the fan speed of your Dell R710 using IPMI in Proxmox to quieten down your server. The first thing we need to do is access the remote access setup or BIOS to configure an iDRAC user and set the IP address that we will use to access the iDRAC web interface. So what you're going to do is turn on your server, and then when you see the message where it tells you to press Ctrl E, you'll press Ctrl E to access the iDRAC configuration utility. Once there, make sure you have iDRAC 6 LAN on and IPMI over LAN on. If you go down the list, you'll go to where it says LAN parameters, press enter. From here, if you navigate down a bit more, you'll see there'll be an option or section where you can edit your IP version 4 settings. In this case, I'm going to set it to my management network, which is on the 10 range, the 10.0.0.0 range. So I'll put in the IP address, obviously the subnet mask and DNS server. Once you're done with that, you can push escape to exit out of it. Next, you want to navigate down to LAN user configurations. From there, this is where you'll set up your main admin user account, which we will use to log into the iDRAC web portal, where we can, I would say, more easily add more users and set their permissions. So from there, all you need to do is go down to account access, make sure it's enabled, under IPMI LAN privilege, set it to admin, and then enter in the username you'd like to use, and then enter in the password you'll use for that user. You can then press the escape key to exit the menu and then confirm the saves, your changes you have made, and it will restart the server. Next, using your favorite browser, I'm going to enter in the IP address of the iDRAC, which we've just set. So in this case, it's the 10.0.0.4, and then we'll be presented with the login screen. Use the username and password that you just created through the BIOS and log in using those details. From there, on the left menu, you'll see a section called iDRAC settings. Click on that, and then just wait for it to load. It can take a bit of time. Once it is loaded, we'll go into network and security settings. From there, click on the user section and wait a bit. It will load a table with all the current users we have, and as well as the ability to create a new user. So we'll click the ID of a user that we want to either edit or create. You'll be presented with a screen where we can click on the configure user and then click next. From there, we'll be able to create the user's name, create a password, and then set the permissions. So what you want to do is make sure under maximum LAN user permissions, make sure that's set as administrator. The maximum serial port user privilege, you can leave that as none, and then make sure enable serial over LAN is selected. The rest you can leave as default. Once you are done, you can scroll down and click on the apply button to create the user. Under the network security section, if you scroll down near the bottom, there'll be a section called IPMI settings. Make sure once again that the enable IPMI over LAN is ticked on. And then next, what you want to see and what you can add is there's an encryption key. Now that consists of a 40 character key that you can enter to use for encrypting your communication, your IPMI communication. In this guide, I'm just going to leave it as a default, which is just 40 zeros. Once you're happy, if you've changed it, you can click the apply button at the bottom, and then we're ready to go. Next, I'm going to log into my Proxmox web portal. I'm going to use the shell that is built into it. If you like and prefer, you can even SSH into your Proxmox host and do the rest of the commands through there. But I'm just going to use the built-in shell as it's a bit easier. Yeah, what we need to do is install IPMI tools. This will allow Proxmox, or Debian in this case, to be able to send IPMI commands to the server. So what we're going to do is do an apt update and then an apt install IPMI tools. If you're not logged in as a root user, you'll have to write sudo apt to run the command. Since I'm as a root user, it will throw an error. So all I need to do is just simply write apt update and apt install IPMI tool. That will run an update and then install the tools for us. Okay, with that done, I will leave a link in the description where you can get all the commands and the scripts that I'll use in this guide. But to test it, you can copy and paste the following command. Just change the details with whatever details you used when you created your fan admin user or your IPMI user. And then if you run that script, you should see a table with temperatures that have been returned to us. In this case, the main one we'll be using is the ambient temperature. So now we know the IPMI tools is installed and working correctly. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do once we logged into the console is in the root users folder or home folder, I want to create a new folder and we'll call it fan control. I've already got the folder, so that's why it's saying it exists. From there we'll cd into that folder. Yeah, from here we want to create a file and we'll call it setspeed.sh. This file will have all the code which will control the speeds of the fan. So you can just copy and paste the script that I've given you. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can get it. All we really need to do is set the host of the IPMI. So this will be the IP address of the server, the username, the password that we will use. So in this case, I've set it as ASD123ASD. So this was the user we created from to control our IPMI, and then the encryption key if you used one. The fan speed will be very much the idle speed that the fans will be set to. So in this case, I found 9% to be comfortable for me. You can set it all the way up to 100%, 0%, but for me, I'm going to use 9%. Max temperature will be the temperature that it will monitor. So if the ambient temperature of your server goes above this in degrees Celsius, it will then kick in to auto mode, and then the server will take over and ramp the fans up to what it needs in order to cool the server down. Once the temperature is below this, it will then set the fans back to manual mode, and then it will set it to the speed. Now this speed will also depend on your fans that you have in your server. It won't be the same for every single fan. It will just set that specific fan to that percentage utilization. Once you're done, we can push Ctrl X to exit. It's going to ask us, do you want to save? Push Y to save and then enter, and it will now be set. The next thing we want to do is give it executable permission. So we'll do chmod +X and then the name of our script, so set speed.sh. Now we can test it. So in this case, what I want to do for now, I'm going to set the speed to So 50%. Save it. I'm going to run the script. It will set the speeds. Now in RDRAC, under fans, you can see the current speeds of the fans. At the moment, at 50%, it's running at around, let's say, 7,000 RPM on average. Now what we'll do is let's set it back to, for example, 9%. Save it. Run the script again. Let it run. Refresh. Now we can see the average is around, let's say, 1,500 RPM. So now it's running at 9% utilization. Okay, so all that is left is for us to create a cron job that will run, in this case, every minute. It will check the temperatures and then set the speeds of the fan accordingly. So to do that on Proxmox or Debian, we're going to write cron tab -e. So that will allow us to edit it. At the end of the file, you can fill this in. So what this will do is check every minute. It will run the bash script. It will run the speed, the set speed script that we wrote. Once you have filled this in, again, I'll leave this in the description. I'll leave a link to where you can get this. We'll push Control X to exit, Y to save, and enter. In Proxmox, we can go to the syslog. There we go. So after a minute, it ran, and there it shows the script that it ran. There's in our script, it echoes out the temperature, which at the moment is 26, and then it finished. So hopefully this helps you in quieting your Dell R710. I want to thank you again for watching, and if this helped you, please like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. It will help grow the channel. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.